So I think the first question that I have is, will the Savannah Bananas ever play a team in the MLB?
Ooh, so we actually played the MLB alumni team. I don't know if you guys knew that.
What is that?
2023, we played the MLB alumni team 3 times. So in 2023, we were playing some challenger games because we thought it would be best to play some independent ball teams, and the MLB alumni team jumped in there. So it was all retired guys
Okay.
that jumped
Robert
on the
Clemens?
No, Roger Clemens played for us in the Astros Stadium in Minute Maid. But the alumni game, it was Dave Stewart coached one game.
Nice.
We had Lou Piniella coach a game, and they had Curtis Granderson coach a game. And Curtis Granderson almost got thrown out. He was in a baby blue tux. Dude's legit. One of the best humans that I've ever been around. We had some guys do some trick plays. We've had some uniqueness, but will we ever play an actual Major League Baseball team? To be determined. You can never count anything
2025? How many games do you guys play on 2025?
2025 is going to be around 70 games.
4 teams?
72, I think. So it'll be 4 teams. Bananas are playing 72. Party Animals are playing 69 games. And then the Firefighters and Tailgaters are playing 33 games apiece.
All right, so how many games does the MLB play?
162.
162?
Yep.
So do you think that you'll ever get up to 162?
No, because we don't think it makes sense. So majority of teams aren't able to sell out 162 games. And what we do is about demand. We want to create the best environment possible. So a lot of how many games we play is based on our demand. Right now, it's getting challenging for us because we've got 3 million people on our wait list to get tickets. This year, we'll have 2 million fans at a game. So we can't reach that demand yet. So that's why we're playing in football stadiums. We just sold out our
football
first
stadiums?
NFL
Yeah,
football stadium.
where?
We'll be playing in the Buccaneers Stadium in March 15th.
Oh,
So 65,000 rocking, baby.
I mean, how are you going to have every player going up and down stairs? Because you guys go out and
we've never done it before. Just like Jesse says all the time, you got to do it and you got to go through the mess to figure it out. And
you got to figure it out.
You know, we went through that same mess with Major League Baseball last year. We played in 6 Major League stadiums. We never played in front of a major league crowd before. So it's 40,000 people plus, and literally we send guys to the very top,
really,
to go hang out for 2 innings.
And I mean, put me in a uniform. Put me in a uniform, and I'll be the one that runs up to the top. They'll never know. They'll never know that I'm not a Savannah. I mean,
see your dance modes.
I don't see. You don't want to see my dance
party
mode.
Animal shirt on under there.
I got a
Party Animal shirt.
I gotta have a few drinks.
Yeah,
I got the Party Animal shirt on. I'm repping it. My kid might do better dance moves than me. I don't know. Actually, he's not very good at dancing either. He's got my genetics.
Here's a cool never forget moment in Oklahoma City that we had. So Oklahoma City, AAA ballpark, it's about 13,000 sold out. And then in left field, they have hotels. And so you basically can look out your hotel window and watch the game. And then they also have a huge, it's like a parking deck, right? And they had tons of people that couldn't get into our game on this parking deck. So game 2 in Oklahoma City last year, we literally sent 2 pitchers to the parking deck to go hang out with the fans in the parking deck. So they showed up and surprised them. They were all fired up.
I'm sure they're fired up.
So they stayed up there for a couple innings. Those are the things that we do to create these never forget moments is let's do some things that nobody ever thought about doing before and go figure out how to connect with fans better than anybody else in sports.
Yeah, because you got to bring the kids out. I mean, I was telling Robbie earlier today, I was telling him that, like, the reason I go places, the reason I leave my house is not because I want to leave my house. I want to leave my house, actually, because I want to connect with more people and network, but it's because of my kids. Like, if my kids enjoy the experience and they're inspired to continue to play baseball or any other sport, then I'm going to do whatever I can to make that happen. And if he always talks about, the bananas in the Party Animals games that we've been to, and it's those memories, that'll last. But if it wasn't for him, like, I would care less about the MLB too. It's like, or I could care less about like coaching baseball if it wasn't for him. So having a kid and you guys focusing on those kids, and that experience and that entertainment at the games is going to keep people wanting to come back over and over. Because
no doubt,
So
think about this. Never forget moment. We all have a never forget moment. Robbie, you've got one. Bryce, Brock, like you guys have these never forget moments. And we constantly tell these stories every single day. And we give shout outs to everybody in our organization for creating never forget moments. Because in a big stadium, we go to a major league stadium, there's 40,000 people there. We literally take 250 people on a plane or a bus to that stadium, and then the goal is to create never forget moments. Every one of our baseline foundational roots goal is to create never forget moments. Be fans first and everything.
For the fans,
so
right?
For the fans,
yeah, because they'll never forget. Like,
honestly,
the fans will never forget it. It's
exactly. And so here's why I knew Banana Ball was going to work, Brock, and it goes back to you focusing on your kid. Was when we first created Banana Ball 2018, we started testing some games and playing some games. We got to 2020, COVID hit. We played for 6 weeks. We were one of the only teams playing in the country. And we played some Banana Ball games because the league we were in, the CPL, wasn't going. We were one of the only teams playing. We created the Party Animals brand so we could play games, and we started evolving Banana Ball.
Yeah.
And when I knew it was going to work is I had dads come out, big, strong, jack dudes, alphas, and they would all tell me, like, with tears in their eyes, thank you for doing what you guys are doing. My son quit baseball, but now he started watching the Bananas, and now he's back playing again, and he's having fun, and now we get to play catch. And they literally are crying, telling me this story.
Yeah.
So that's one of the small details of why I knew it was going to work. The other one is this. I would have these husbands come up to me, and they'd be like, hey, my wife hates baseball, but man, she loves the Bananas.
Yeah, so that's because the guys have shirts off. They all have 6-packs. Yeah, they all have 6-packs. That's why. It's because, I mean, my wife would love to go out there too and see those dudes. I mean, that's why she's always like, let's get in the front row. You know, I'm like, no, it's in the front row, Abby. I need you. I need you to be my wing woman. Talking about the Golden Bat Rule. So you guys, can you walk us through what the Golden Bat Rule is? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So the Golden Batter Rule. So that was our new rule this year. So it's our 11th rule. And basically everything we do in Banana Balls, one, we want to celebrate. One, we want to create the most entertainment within the game as possible. You know, points wise, how we score the game. Yeah. Every inning counts, right? So there can literally be a walk-off every inning. With the Golden Batter Rule, what we were thinking was at the end of the game, wouldn't you love to see the best pitcher, the closer, and the best hitter with the game on the line every single game?
Yeah.
Right? So we all want that moment. If you guys go back to the World Baseball Classic when there was Shohei
and Trout.
Everybody was talking about that. So how do we recreate that? And that's how the Golden Batter Rule came about. And man, it's been a ton of fun. It's difficult managing. I'll tell you that. You're trying to figure out the matchups. You're trying to figure out like, hey, I might have to take my 6-hole out of the game and put my 3-hole in the game there. And you got to manage those. You got to manage those personalities. And
so it's every inning.
Fans love it. We do this
game. It's at the end of the game or every inning?
No, it's at the end of the game. You can do it once every game.
Right? It's a one-time thing.
Because the MLB just came out with something kind of similar. Is that right?
No, they're proposing it. They're kicking it around. Yeah. So that's created a lot of controversy. So like you have a lot of old school, right? Old heads who, love to keep the game the way it was and, not too thrilled about the idea of the Golden Bat Rule. But it's interesting to hear that, right? Like you have the commissioner of Major League Baseball talking about something you all did and floating it, right? Like they floated it. It's out in the press. People are talking about it. So that means like they're considering it. Or
it's crazy.
Right.
Unless you're going to like attempt to have some sort of talking.
That's wild to think about the impact, right? You talk about all the experiences and just, these incredible moments where parents are coming up to you, telling you like, thank you, my kid loves baseball again. Yeah. Or thank you, my wife loves baseball because you dance around with no shirts on and, say no.
Has the MLB ever, I got a question. Sorry, Robbie. Has the MLB ever reached out to the Bananas?
Yeah, Jesse talks to them probably weekly.
Really?
Not every 2 weeks. So to go back to the Golden Batter Rule, the Golden Batter Rule is you can substitute any hitter at any point in time in the game 1 time per game. So you can do it in the 6th inning if you want to, Brock.
Got it.
But it's usually held for the 8th or 9th inning when the game is on the line. Because in Banana Ball, in the 9th inning, every run counts. You're trying to figure out your best moment to expand the game and score as many runs. So usually it's in the 9th inning, sometimes in the 8th inning. It's how you want to do it strategically, but that's how it works.
What other rules you got? What other rules?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big stolen base guy, so a big part of me was stealing first base. So I used to joke all the time when coaches would ask, hey, how many stolen bases do you have this year as a team? And if it was a low number, I'd be like, we've got, 124 stolen bases as a team, which is a solid number, but I always try to break all the records because that's my baby is stolen bases. I would say we only have 124 because we've struggled figuring out how to steal first base in base, right? So like with Banana Ball, we created, if there is a pass ball, you can steal first base, which is electric.
Okay.
The fan catch out is the best rule in sports, though. There's no doubt about it. When you get the fans involved, there's been 69 fan catch outs in game.
Yeah. They keep the ball.
Literally been catches that have ended games.
Really?
So
and they get to keep the ball. Like, is there anything else that they get with it? Like, can they like go down to the field? Do they get a free season life pass?
No.
But
you get on the field. Yeah. So when it happens in a game, everybody loses their mind.
Of course.
And then our entire dugout will run to the stands, get the person out of the stands, and we'll bring them into the dugout. And then whenever we find a moment to get them on the field, I basically take them to the foul line. I've got the mic. I raise their arm up with the banana ball and say, fans introducing the fan who just caught a foul ball. So however I wanted to do that with the announcement, but we put them on the field, we put them in the dugout.
Yeah.
It's electric. Fun.
Yeah.
What is that idea? Like, how does that idea, who pitches that? Where was that born from? Like, hey, this is a good idea. We need to put this in.
Yeah.
Ideas happen all over the place. Ideas are everything. Ideas keep us alive. They are our blood. They're our oxygen. So every week on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, depending on our schedule, we will have an idea palooza with every team. And so this year we'll have 4 teams. We'll have 4 different idea paloozas. Those ideas will get taken to our entertainment team and our content team. They will build out more ideas. There's probably 200 ideas get thrown around on a Tuesday.
What about a fan? What about fan ideas? Like, you guys take any fan ideas?
Yeah, if you look on social media, Jesse will throw, hey, where do you want the Bananas to play next? And there'll be 700 comments on, hey, go play on the moon, right? So we're going there. Elon's going to help us out. We're going to build a Mars. Yeah, we're going to build a baseball field. That's what we joke right now is, we're on this rocket ship play on the moon.
All those drones are actually Savannah Bananas. They're scoping out the next place to play. That's what the drones are in New Jersey.
We actually used a drone in a game to deliver a baseball to a pitcher, and then he threw a pitch. So we were in Des Moines, Iowa, Cubs AAA complex, and we had a drone come out over the top of the pitcher. He released the baseball. Ryan Kellogg caught it, and then
bare hand
a pitch
with nonstop. Just went.
Was it continuous motion?
Yeah, the first one he butchered it, so we had to redo it. So again, go through the mess. You never do it before. You've done it before. He's never done it before. He dropped it. First off, the drone was like 100 feet in the air. It was way too far the first time.
Really? Oh yeah.
So it dropped. He missed it. We had to reset it. So he did it the next inning, but he executed it the next inning. It was really good.
That's awesome. What's I don't even know other ideas, I guess. Robbie, got anything?
No, I mean, so when you guys put out the schedule, I think you said you got 72 games. What goes into selecting these cities? Do you try to go back to repeat? Do you try to find new areas of the country? Is there data kind of pointing you in a direction of like, hey, we can sell?
Yeah, great question. Couple things here. So one, the demand of cities and the locations is something that we do look at. Some of our biggest fan groups are Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, the Carolinas, obviously the Southeast. There's a big group in Texas and a big group in California. And so looking at where our demand is and where our craziest, most wildest fans are, we do take a look at that. But also it's who wants us to come to their stadium. That's where a lot of this comes from, is who really wants to partner with us, who believes in what we're trying to do in fans first entertainment and impacting fans. And so the collaboration of bringing us to a city a lot of times has to do with the city and the team that's
because economy's going to blow up. Like, I mean, think of all the revenue they're going to bring in that area. Like, why wouldn't you want, like, there should be bids. I feel like there should be bids on the Banana Ball, like, tour, right? Like, are people bidding on it now?
Yeah, teams actually do. So like, kind of, we're strategic in where we go, and so sometimes there's cities that we can't go to every single city in a state. And so kind of whoever puts it together the best for to bring us there, that's kind of where we go to. So the biggest thing is we're trying to be fans first in everything we do. And so we have our own fans first platform, our ticket platform. So we don't use any other separate ticket platform, which some people know, some people don't, but we are so pro on that. We have stuck our flag in the ground and we're not budging on that because we don't like doing fees. We don't charge our fans taxes. Our $35 general admission ticket is only $35. There's no fees.
Genius.
There's no,
No, it's great.
tax.
It's up front.
Yeah.
Go for it, Brock. I mean, I just went through it, Unfortunately, I didn't make it to my queue where I was in line, but it was a cool, it was
You never been to a game,
process.
Robbie? You never been to a game?
I have not.
We'll go to a game, Robbie. I'll take you.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Brock. I've been to
Jason
lots of games.
told me he'd give us some tickets.
That's cool. But it was a really good process. Like, you were pretty upfront with the prices. I think there was like 2 different options, and you also were great about telling people about the resale market, right? And how the dangers of that, and of like there's probably a lot of fraud that has come from that, which is unfortunate.
No doubt. We're trying to figure out how to solve that problem. Nobody else in the industry is trying to solve that problem.
What problem? What problem?
The scammer problem, the resale problem. So example is we've got 3 million people on the wait list to get tickets. We're going to be able to reach about 2.2 million fans this tour. Okay. If with our own ticket platform, we want to keep everything as customer service friendly as possible.
Yeah.
And we've had a ton of fans in the past basically get scammed online and they pay $600 and then they show up and it's like, this isn't a real ticket, or they get, they don't even get a ticket.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to figure out how to solve that platform so we can, on the backside, basically resell tickets through our platform at the same amount that the general admission is. To make sure we're getting all the details here, in minor league stadiums and at Grayson, our general admission ticket is $35. In big league stadiums, there's 2 separate tickets. So there's a $40 ticket and a $60 ticket, depending on if you're like lower bowl or upper bowl.
Yeah. What about like doing something similar like the driver's license? Not, of course, not the thickness of it, but or like passport, right? It has like the hologram, I think, on it. And if you don't have that, or it's the ticket ID starts with banana, right? And that's how I think that's one way.
I mean, this is Brock's brain dump, right? And Brock, you're always coming up with ideas, new business, right? Yeah. So, well, take a look at this problem, right? The Bananas are taking a look at this and they're trying to figure out the scammers. So if there's anyone out there who thinks they have a solution, like, come up with the solution and pitch it to them, right? Like, who knows?
Stop scamming them. No one wants to be a scammer.
I mean, no
one likes scammers.
Right. But if it's something that's top of mind to you and it's important, right? Like, let's go solve that problem. And I think that's important with anything. So just solving those problems.
Yeah. And you know what problem you solved? Parking. Do you guys charge? When I went to the game at Savannah Bananas 2 years ago, we didn't have to pay to park. Do you still have to pay? No pay? Dude, that is the most.
Oh, not at home. Once we go on the road, we don't control the parking lot.
I was about to say, I was like, that's incredible.
How often are you guys at home?
32 games this year.
I'll tell you what, we didn't pay for parking. We would have priced $20, for parking, maybe $10, $20. But instead, I felt like I had to buy some merchandise. So I dropped $250 freaking dollars on merch when I was there, which is great. I love it. We had the bat, my kid had the little banana bat and we use it every day, and a ball that I think is, I don't even know, my son still has it, actually. I saw it the other day. And 3 shirts, 2 hats, but not charging you parking made me, the psychological side of things said, they're giving me something. I'm going to get something in return. When I get in, I can spend more money on this experience, which I think it was whoever came up with that idea. I don't know if that's the thought, but it was genius, whoever did.
So here's the storyline. 2016, Jesse and Emily Cole created the Savannah Bananas. And if you went onto our website, it says, we make baseball fun. Yeah. That was the initial thought of, we're going to do things a little bit different. They also decided they were going to do all you can eat with the general admission ticket. So it's hot dogs, hamburgers, popcorn, soda, chips, all of that stuff. So our general admission ticket, all you can eat. Robbie, the first year that they did it, they didn't know how to do it. Nobody's ever done this before. So they went through the mess to figure it out.
Yeah.
Now it's legit. Now we roll it out and people love it. Also, what we did was open seating. So if you were the first in line when the gates opened, you could sit wherever you wanted to in the stadium.
Yeah.
So there's one, we get people there early for the pre-show, okay? Because when the gates open at 5:30, the show starts right away. Normally, you go to a different event and the game starts at 7. There's not much going on before the game starts. Ours starts an hour and a half earlier with the gates opening. And so get in early, all you can eat. And then from there, if you go in and get merch, like we don't do taxes on our merch either. So again, we are trying to do everything that is fans first. And a lot of that in any business is listening to your customers, and whatever they hate, stop doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that's solving families' problems, right? Like, because if I'm from the Boston area, right? So you got the Red Sox, and to take a family of 4 to a game is through the roof, right? Like, if you want to get hot dogs, soda, some popcorn, if you want to get a hat, like, it's an experience. And to Brock's point, if you do park in one of the random gas stations outside of the stadium, it's $40-$50 there, and it's a lot, and that weighs heavily on families. So for y'all to just solve that, where it's like, don't worry about getting food, like, you just come, all you can eat. You don't have to worry about eating before you come to the game, and just kind of sit where you want, and then have an hour and a half to kind of be in the park, just kind of getting yourself immersed and, seeing what's going on. I think that is just, I mean, it just plays to your audience, which to your point, you're just listening to everybody, and we appreciate that. So
what's the age you guys charge for every age? Like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds,
No, 3 and under is free.
Good.
Oh,
you answered
nice.
that correctly, because my daughter was free. She's 3. I'm testing you. No, I was thinking the reason I asked that is because the MLB, like you made a point earlier, the more games you play, the less people, right? And then it kind of gets overbearing. So I think the one thing that the MLB could do better at is figuring out, not figuring out like the banana ball, the golden bat rule. I think, and you don't even have to honestly lower the games being played, because at the end of the day, if you can get kids to the game, like if they can figure out how to get kids to the game, then more people will show up, right? And I just don't understand why they haven't implemented the policy where if you're under a certain age, like under 10, under 12, right? Kids stop playing ball when they're 12 typically, because they get burnt out or something else happens, or they mature more.
13 age.
Yep. So why not? Why doesn't the MLB implement a policy where if you're under a certain age, let's say it's 10, then you're free, right? One, that more parents are then going to come to games. They're going to spend more money on concessions, right? They're going to spend more money on merch. It's the give to get model, right? You got to give to get. And the way it's going right now, I mean, they're trying to come up with these new ideas that are being implemented, but that's not them. That's not the MLB. So why not just think of something outside the box, right?
No doubt. And that's really one of our main principles is whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. And we've always been thinking outside of the box. And so a couple of details there, Brock, is 162 games. We've been doing that for a long time. And I think, this is my personal opinion, I think that's starting to get outdated with how many people are coming to games.
Yeah.
So I think it is too many.
Yeah.
Where you're seeing the adjustment being made is a lot of these stadiums are taking seats out of their stadiums. So we went to some major league stadiums this year, and they literally took out 10,000 seats in different locations because they can't sell those out. And so I do think the number one way, though, is to create never forget moments. And where we're winning on that is all of our games are free on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, you can watch all of our games and all of our content for free on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
And that's fans first, where other sporting events, they have these paywalls or the blackouts. And so you can't watch it. So, us growing up, we all used to get home from, school, and we would watch the Cubs on WGN.
Yeah.
And we would watch the Braves on TBS. And so that was a go-to all the time. Now you have to understand where we're at in today's world and where the eyeballs are at. And if you're looking at little kids from ages 6, or my kid's 4, let's start with 4. My kid's 4 and to 12 years old, like you're saying, Brock, what are they watching when they wake up in the morning? My son wants to watch YouTube.
Yeah, my son calls it Google.
Google. Right?
Hey, they do.
All there, right? If they're watching YouTube, that's where it's at. They can't watch TikTok. Majority of kids in that age range, they don't have TikTok. They don't have Instagram. They're not in that world. That's not that target audience. The kids where you can grab them right now and make an impact on them is YouTube. And I think we're ahead of the game on that
100%.
in the sports world.
Yeah.
And we're not giving up on that. We are going to keep our games on YouTube until it doesn't make sense. But right now, everybody can watch all of our games for free on
That's
YouTube.
awesome. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
was going to say, I think I saw Jesse posted recently about that, about the YouTube, and I think that's fantastic.
Dude,
I mean,
you should.
nowadays it's so hard to figure out what network or app or where the game is at, right? Like, is it on the MLB network? Is it on the actual local broadcasting channel? Is it on ESPN? Is it on randomly primed for some reason, or Apple TV?
Yeah.
And that's hard, right? So like, to have one consistent spot to know you can go and just like, yep, that's where the game's going to be. That's awesome. And that helps you all read.
What's that?
Advertising?
No, we got rid of
dollars?
all advertising. No, we got rid of all of our advertising in 2020 because we don't believe fans want to be sold to. They want to be entertained. So we went all in on not focusing on sponsors or entertainment or on advertising. We went all in on focusing on the fan and entertaining the fan. So if you came to our stadium, you will not see like any posters or anything on the walls. And we went all in on just focusing on the fan. Now, when we decided to do that, COVID hit a month earlier. So we basically got rid of $500,000 in sponsorships, which is a lot of times the lifeblood of a lot of sports industries or sports teams.
MLB.
And we got rid of it, and then COVID hit, and we were like, oh, crap. What is we just went all in on focusing on fans, and then our merch started taking off, and a lot of people basically started buying our merch. So we were focusing on the fan and entertaining the fans.
So with that approach, right? Because you went all social organic, right? It was all just like, let's put it out there. How often were you all posting? Like, how much content were you having to put out to just kind of make up for moving on from advertising? Like, what does that look like in the very beginning to be like, all right, see you later, and we're just gonna, here we go.
If you go back to 2020, TikTok hadn't really taken off yet, and we hired a intern named Savannah, and she pitched it in one of our idea paloozas. Hey, I think we should start a TikTok. So we said, yes, let's do it. Let's try it. You're going to own it. So she took off with TikTok.
Yeah.
And in about a year and a half, it grew to 3 million followers. So in 2022, April of 2022, when we were on our second world tour, it went astronomical. Like, we went 1.5 million followers like a month.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was posting things that are outside of the norm. But the goal was just to post every single day. And that's where we can all learn, get out of being scared of figuring out what we're posting.
Yeah.
Just to post and learn, and learn, do and learn.
Yeah.
Our biggest thing with the bananas and why we're winning in multiple areas is because of speed. We learn faster than anybody else. We don't have red tape where we're like, hey, let's do this. Okay, let's go to this board of directors. And it's a month before we can get a thumbs up.
Yeah.
We honestly go, hey, let's try this. All right, then we'll evaluate it and then we'll adjust. So we think of ideas, we implement them as soon as possible. And then I think our key to success a lot of time is the ability to edit. Example, in game, we do 20 to 25 new things in game, every single game. So a lot of people are like, when I come to your games or your shows, am I going to see the same thing? It's like, no, we do 20 to 25 new things every single day.
Yeah.
Every game.
That's
so
hard
then
to
we
do.
post out all of those new things that happen.
Yeah.
Some work, some don't, and some edit, and we make them better. And Robbie, like, one of the cool things is we kind of stole the model from Saturday Night Live. And so Saturday Night Live, everything gets pitched on Tuesday. And then they do writing, they do idea paloozas, and then they write, they test, they write, they test, and they get all the way to Friday. Friday, they do a live version, not filmed, but with live fans. And then they test all of those things, see the reaction, edit once again. And then from there, Saturday Night Live happens.
Yeah.
So it's test, prep, edit, and then go. With our social media, it's literally we come up with all of our ideas. We have multiple ideas that we're going to shoot for the games that weekend. We shoot those, we edit them, and we put them out. But the goal is to post minimum once every single day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Because I think that, that's actually something, I've learned just from a lot of folks in this space that, I'm not one who likes to be on camera. I don't like hearing myself. I don't, and I know. I know it's weird, So
You look good. You look good.
thanks, brother. I appreciate it. But you have to overcome that. If you want to get to where you're going, you have to do the things that make you uncomfortable, right?
Yeah,
So
100%.
in hearing those things, right? You hear it, but it takes a lot to just be like, all right, I'm going to do it, and then you do it again, and you do it. You just make those tweaks. I think Mr. Beast put out something. He said your first 100 videos aren't going to be good. No one's going to look at them, right? But during that process, make one change each time, right?
Yeah.
Add captions.
First 10 seconds.
Change the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Do transitions, add sound effects. And over that time, the learnings that are just going to start to compound.
Yeah.
And your videos are going to get better. And you're going to get better along the way. And I think about that. And it's cool to hear you all kind of took that same, like an approach of like, you got to post every day.
It's
you got to learn quickly and just keep moving. So
yeah. It's the hook. So you gotta have a hook. You gotta keep 8 to 10 seconds of someone's attention.
Sometimes you don't know what's gonna work though. That's the weird part.
I mean, I have people that have one favorite on my TikTok, and then the next one that's posted went not viral like the bananas, but it had like 20,000-30,000 views. Which was so like dang. But you also have the verbiage, the words, the text on it for like 8-10 seconds, so they can see it, because no one reads the captions. Let's be honest, like I don't read the captions. But you also got to tag like United States. I learned that you have to tag the United States. I just got on TikTok. I'm learning all this, but on Twitter, I can tell you what to do on Twitter. On Twitter, you got to post every hour on the hour and live it. Like me and you, Tyler, we should be trading retweets. We trade retweets. That's how you blow up too. But
greatness is on the other side of fear. And if you look at your comfort zone, and if this is your uncomfortable zone over here, you've got to figure out how to get out of that. And I think there's multiple ways to do that. One is you just got to go and quit worrying about what everybody thinks. That's where we run into these blocks, right?
Yeah.
And the posting and then editing, that's the journey. And just post, edit, post, edit, post, edit, post, edit. And one thing that we say to our players all the time that are just starting this journey, you get some players in that they don't have a ton of followers yet, is the goal is to post once every day, and don't worry exactly about how good or bad it is. You're going to learn along the way. And so it's about quantity early and then quality later. But the biggest thing is this. The question we tell everybody is, hey, tell me what the bananas worst video of all time was.
I think Bryce just texted to us.
Everybody's like, I don't know. I don't have it. And so it's like, okay, just keep posting. Things will go viral. Things will keep catching on.
Is this the worst video of all time?
That's old school. That's probably Nick Clarno. He's in the Braves organization.
Clarno's the LR guy. Lenore Ryan.
Yeah, yes, he is.
That's what Bryce said that.
That was video.
Oh, that was you? Oh,
you were in there, Bryce.
Let's go.
The Bryce. Yeah, that's Clarno. We got Bryce. There's Bryce right there.
I love it. That's so good.
Oh my God.
Way to get after it, Bryce.
Bryce, I didn't know you were a banana player. Look at that.
You got a tip in there, didn't you, Bryce?
Bryce has a 6-pack. Bryce runs a 6'5". He's fast too. He can be one of your speedy guys.
I didn't know you were coaching that game. I didn't know you did this. Wild. Bryce, you were at the first game. So Robbie, we were talking about trying different things and doing new things. Bryce is catching the game where we did the first ever walk-ups that were outside of the norm.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had the band walk a guy to the plate playing the entire time.
And the opposing player didn't know.
And then Bill Leroy did he announced himself going to hit.
That's so good.
And it went viral.
Yeah.
And John Boy picked it up, and the T-shirt, I think it was Roosevelt's, I think is the shirt. We did a collaboration. There's a shirt that is created of Bill Leroy doing the first ever walk-up.
That's awesome.
That's good.
That was the training ground. Bryce, you were there, baby.
That's crazy.
Bryce, that's awesome.
Talk about marketing and advertising that the Bananas do. So social media drives a lot of it. But without some big name guys, too, that have a lot of social media following, they help you grow a little bit faster, of course, quicker. But also helps their brand recognition, too. So, I mean, you got Cruz, Jason Arndt, who's country singer, up and coming, and a few others, of course. Are their daily lives? I mean, I know from being a ball player, right? Everyone is not cocky, but they have their moments, I guess, where they think they're better than they really are. Like, are these guys down to earth like everyone thinks they are from their social media platform?
These guys are literally. So our goal is to try to create the most talented and entertaining players in the world. We're going to try to recruit those people, get them in an environment to grow everything that they can be. And these guys, the Jackson Olsons, the Coach Rax, the Jason Arts, we've got multiple other guys of I literally think we've got some of the best people in the world in what we're doing. And the reason why I think that is every time we go to a location, I get 5 to 10 compliments of, I can't believe how accessible your players are. I can't believe how, respectful your guys are. I can't believe they gave us this much time. Like, I watched Coach Rack sign autographs for 2.5 hours in Cleveland one time. Yeah,
all
it was
kids, all kids or parents too.
That's
adults,
incredible.
Adult and kids or all kids?
In this situation, this was our Banana Ball U tournament, the first one we ever did. First ever Banana Ball U tournament we ever did.
Yeah.
And we had a camp. We had 2 camps. We had 900 kids there. So we had a camp in the morning, camp in the afternoon, and then we did a welcome celebration at the end, and then we all signed autographs. And Rack was the last one out there, and it was like 2.5 hours of signing it, and great dude the whole time. Like, we've got some really awesome humans, and they make us all better. Like, I always say, surround yourself with great people, and you can be influenced by those great people and who they are. And I think we got so many guys inside of our locker room that follow that fans first model, that are awesome humans, that want to continue creating never forget moments and impacting the next generation. And we talk about it every day, but those guys live it out.
Yeah.
Every single day we sign autographs before and after, and we've got some awesome humans.
Yeah, you have to say yes to everything when you're a banana player. If someone's like, hey, can I get an autograph? Like, if you say no, you're going viral for saying no. Like don't say no. You can't say no. You have to say yes to everything. I mean, I think the memories that last, and that's another reason I think the MLB, of course, could do better. In my opinion, is because the players just walk by, but there's also a lot of adults too that try and get autographs, which is somewhat ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
And want to do it for money. But the kids, like having kids come out and getting autographs early before the game, right? Is that what you guys do? Like, you let the kids in early? Can the kids get autographs as the players are walking in and near the dugout?
Yeah. So what we decided to do back in 2018, 17 is we wanted to greet the fans and de-greet the fans. So the gates open at 5:30. There's a line of fans lined up. Every single game, we go out front and high five everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Bananas and party animals. It's welcome to the game. Welcome to the game. Yeah. When we go, when we went to Houston, there's 20,000 people out there at 4:30. So we opened the gates earlier because there were so many people in a big stadium. 20,000 people. We went around the entire stadium, high-fived everybody, got on this huge stage, and did our traditional "Hey Baby" dance.
Yeah.
Then we counted it down: 11, 10, 9, 5, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, gates open, music starts, DJ's going, and then we sign autographs for 45 minutes
before the game.
Nice. And then from there, we do it in waves now. We're trying to get more efficient with it and more strategic.
Yeah.
So we do it in 2 different waves. So basically the starters start and they'll sign autographs for about 30 minutes. And then we'll switch out with the second group. The starters will go start getting ready for the game.
Yeah.
And then the second group of like our reinforcements, they're going to get out there and they're going to sign autographs for about 30 minutes. And then that's going to take us to 5:30. 5:30, the show starts. So all of our guys are on mics. We're in the stands. We're interacting with people.
Yeah.
During the game, we have spots that we hit. Literally, if I have a pitcher that's not doing anything, we will strategically put them in certain parts of the stadium to go up there for 2 or 3 innings. And they're signing autographs, taking pictures.
Nice. Yeah.
Post-game, we sign autographs afterwards.
You think the MLB will ever do that? You think Corey Seager will just go up in the stands? How many people would surround him?
It's tough. There's a lot of red tape. Like,
there is.
Our goals and their goals are different. That's why we're able to do some of these things. But number one thing of why I think we have the most amount of fans is the baseline of everything is connection. Mm-hmm. How do you connect people? We're all looking for a tribe. We're all looking for people to impact us, to make us happy. And we think Banana Land isn't just Savannah. We think it's everywhere around the country.
Land, like Disneyland.
And Banana Land is where happiness and joy happens. It doesn't matter if you like baseball or don't like baseball. If you're 6 or 66, if you're male or female, it doesn't matter. You can come to this environment and you're going to see grown men dancing and singing.
Yeah.
You're going to see kids running all over the place.
Man.
You're going to see people smiling. And the unique piece of it is, you're not going to have the bickering that happens at sporting events, right? It's really people just having the time of their lives. The music never stops, and that's Banana Land, man. It's not just Savannah. That thing travels.
I mean, talk about Banana Land. What about, do the Bananas, you think you guys will ever have your own fields?
Yeah.
Like eight fields, 10 fields, have it called Banana Land, have an experience of a lifetime.
Well,
kind of like Disneyland.
Yeah, that's Jesse's vision.
Let's go.
It'll probably happen in the next 10, 15 years. You know,
All right.
we want it to be a location where there are multiple stadiums, there are multiple Little League fields, and everybody comes to this one place where they're going to walk down Fans First Way. There's going to be
I can see it. I can already see it.
Coffee shops, and then they can take a right and go to the firefighters area.
When's
or the tailgater spot?
Oh, I love it.
When's the investment spot? So like, that's the vision of where we're going to. We're not just trying to grow for next year. We're trying to make this thing extend for the next 100 years.
I mean, let's be honest. You guys work pretty fast. 10, 15. Let's cut it down to 3, 4.
I mean, they'll get there. They're
getting there. I believe it.
Tyler, I have to ask, because you're talking about, I've heard you mention shout outs. I heard you talking about high fives. I hear about experiences. Did someone come from like a summer camp background? Like because I in the camp space for 20 years, and like that's what it's all about. It's creating experiences for kids. It's how do you welcome them, make them feel comfortable, right? They're showing up. They've never done this. So when I hear this, and shout outs is something we did at our company, right? To recognize folks and call out their good deeds and their wins, whether small or big, so that way everyone can celebrate with that. So I don't know. I hear those things and I'm like, did someone come from like a camp background? Like, where does this come from?
It was me.
Growing, learning, and reading and watching other people that have done it great before us. We study every single company across every different platform. And I think everybody can steal something that parallels with their business that the WWE is doing, or Mr. Beast is doing, or Disney's doing, or any other sporting event, any other concert. How we do our tickets was basically something that we looked at the Grateful Dead and Dave Matthews, and Dave Matthews has the warehouse. And so we have our K Club members. We have 30,000 people within our K Club, right? And so all of these different forms all these things that we do have been learned from other areas, and then we just make it Fans First, and we make it bananified, basically. We bananify it. And Robbie, now that you bring that up in the shout outs, and we call it debriefing, we have a Fans First chat at the end of every single game. The first time I experienced this was in 2018. I got the head job with the Bananas, and after our first home game, we went down our left field line. We have a stadium club. We call it the ABR. It's a little inside room where like VIP fans kind of have their special area, and we debrief there and we eat after every single game. And after that game, we debriefed, and it was the first time I had ever been a part of a debrief personally, one that was as good as this one, right? And I've studied it a bunch. Navy SEALs do it, big time companies do it, and I never saw it quite like this one before, though. There was 12 of us at that time, 12 full-time people with the Bananas at that time. We were all sitting in a circle, and we all went around the room and shared a Fans First moment of the night. And the reason why we do this is two things. One, when you're in a big stadium, you don't really know the cool moments that happen throughout the stadium because we're all doing different things. So this is a way that we can share some of these moments and create these stories that we can continue to tell. Two, it's to highlight the people that are doing some of these cool things that might not get highlighted, such as a person working in the concession stand, a ticket person, a baseball ops person behind the scenes. There's Fans First moments going on all around us, but unless we tell those stories, we don't know. The other thing is these stories elevate everybody to continue doing more Fans First stories. Those Fans First stories are why we are most popular, because that is our marketing. Your market, your best marketing strategy is to have the best fan engagement in whatever business you have. So what happens is we create attention by doing things. This is kind of our flywheel. We create attention by doing things that are outside of the box, doing things that are not normal. Once we get that attention, people say, hey, that looks cool. I want to go to one of those games. They come to our game. Then they experience what Fans First is all about. They experience these never forget moments. They want to go tell their best friends about those never forget moments. They share those never forget moments with their friend. When that happens, that friend goes, dude, that sounds legit.
I can't believe I
want to go be that. That sounds fun. Right? And then that creates the flywheel of more people paying attention and creating never forget moments and telling those stories. And here's the flywheel of people showing up.
Yeah.
But you've got to create an organization of people that are willing to go above and beyond. So one of our mottos, Robbie, is every single game is do for one that you wish you could do for many. So we have these great ideas and we wish we could impact 1 million people right away, or, you know, every single fan that comes to a game. But individually, we probably can't do that, but we can do it for one. And if you do it for one and we all do it for one, then that's going to have a compound effect.
Yeah.
That's going to have a ripple effect over time. And, you know, we've been selling out games since 2016. A lot of people don't know that.
I know.
A lot of people, this has been building, you know, the book, The Compound Effect. This has been building for a long time, trying to have these never forget moments. But it's debriefing at the end of games, giving shout outs. And I think that's honestly how we should start every single one of our meetings too.
Yeah.
We start a meeting by not talking about something negative that we need to fix, or going right into what our daily, you know, plan or schedule is. We literally start our day. It's mapped out by like, I need to give a shout out for somebody doing something great. And that's what our culture is all about.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's so true. I mean, I lived that firsthand.
Yeah. But,
you know, for the camp. And what we based ours off of came from Southwest. Southwest Airlines had something called POS, right? Positively Outrageous Service. And that became one of the core initiatives every year. So when you hear it and you're all hands on meeting talking about this one initiative, everyone is a part of it, right? So, and to your point, it's not to try and do it for every single person because you just can't. But when you have an opportunity, whether you're client services, whether you're on the accounting department, whether you're in HR, or, you know, all the different folks, right? It's not just the people out in the field entertaining. There's a lot of other folks who work for the Bananas, and, you know, their work is just as important, right? To keep the show running. So, but those moments really create this culture of like, hey, we're going to go above and beyond for y'all. And we want to create something that, you know, your kid, you know, we used to have a thing where it was like, we would get parents who would call us and be like, what did you do to my kid? And usually your first thing is like, wait, what? Like, you know, what did I do? And they're like, they won't stop talking. My kid never talks to me about school, but they went to your camp for one day and they will not stop talking about everything he did. And when you hear those things, it's like that you're reminded of that's why you do what you do, right? You know, of course, we're all businesses and we're trying to grow and scale and launch our brands and do all the things. But, you know, at the core of it is, you know, this kid and these who just have these incredible experiences. And you're right, it starts right with that core group. Usually your leadership has to embody that. They have to believe in it, and it all trickles down from there. So I think that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
See,
Robbie, go ahead, Brock, before I jump into that question.
Well, I'm going to lead on it. It's basically like your model. The fans come first, employees of the Bananas come second, and growth and profit will follow. Enterprise way too. Enterprise is the same thing when I was working with them. Customers come first, your employees come second, growth and profit will follow. And that's what we've implemented at Playing Sports. You know, coaches come first, we come second, then growth and profit will follow. So that's good to hear that others have the same unique style, you know, that to grow their business and also keep people engaged, entertained, and continue to solve a problem or go towards a mission, you know, to be just make a change in the world. I think it's important to have.
Have you guys read the book Unreasonable Hospitality?
I don't have time to read.
No, I have not.
I don't have time to read.
You guys got to dive into this.
What's it called?
Unreasonable Hospitality. It's about a guy that owns a bunch of restaurants. One of them is in New York, and they created this environment of awesome hospitality where people continue coming back. And one of the stories that stands out in this book is the $2 hot dog. Have you ever heard of the $2 hot dog?
No.
All right. So this restaurant is a 5-star restaurant. It's unbelievable, high class. You know, you have to get a reservation. It's legit food, legit service. And they kind of use that motto of listen carefully, respond creatively. And so the waiter has freedom to listen to what the customers are saying and respond creatively. And so one way they were able to do that is this family comes in, they've been traveling and they love food, and they're talking about all these food places that they've went to in New York, and they're experiencing all of these different types of foods, and it's just legit. And the waiter started listening to one of the guys in the group, and he was like, the only thing that we didn't try here in New York is the hot dogs. We didn't try a hot dog in New York, right? And so the waiter hears this. They send somebody to go downstairs, go to the hot dog stand, create this or buy a hot dog, put all the stuff on it. They bring it back up to their chef. They cut it up into a couple different pieces, like glamorize it, make it look legit, and they surprise them with a hot dog, a $2 hot dog on their plate.
Wow.
And it created this never forget moment, right?
Yeah.
And most companies would be like,
yeah,
wouldn't think anything of it or wouldn't listen, right?
Yeah.
And so it's listen carefully, respond creatively, and you create these never forget moments.
Yeah.
And that's what that book about unreasonable hospitality is all about. And we've stolen a ton of things from that book.
That's
and,
good.
Robbie, Southwest, like they've done a bunch of things that we've stolen too. And I love that as well.
That's awesome. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, if the show The Bear, have you guys watched the show The Bear? They did that where they heard someone talk about Chicago deep dish. They overheard it, they ran out, got it, and presented it, and it's creating those delightful moments, right? They're those, as you guys say, the never forget
moments. That's crazy.
Well, talk about moments. Let's talk about bet on yourself. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about bet on yourself? What's this all about?
Yeah, it's kind of my life motto, to be honest with you. I feel like I've been betting on myself for a long time. I've never been the smartest, the strongest, the most skilled in anything that I've done. But I've tried to outwork everybody and believe in what my dreams are and just continue chasing those, unrelentlessly until they basically show up, and been doing that since a young age. And a lot of it has to do with my coaching journey. If you guys know me, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm a small town kid. I was lucky enough to play for a guy in high school named Eddie Collins. Collins taught me a lot about baseball, but he taught me a lot more about life. And I didn't realize how good I had it when I was in high school, to be honest with you. And back in 2021, he ended up becoming the winningest high school baseball coach in the country.
Wow.
Over 2,116 wins.
Way to go, coach.
Wow.
And
that's huge.
Like, man, he knows a lot about baseball, but he taught me a lot more about life. Honestly, when I was a sophomore in high school, I was trying to become a young man and trying to figure out what path I was going down. And I always call him my hero because he really put me on the straight and narrow, and he gave me somebody to look up to and somebody to literally look at every single day. And that dude worked his butt off. He used to always joke with us about, hey, you guys might be younger than me, but I'll outwork every single one of you dudes, right? And, where that started at is a lot of little things. Everything was yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You weren't scared to compete. We were a small 2A school, but we played 6A high schools. We got in 6A tournaments. We won some of those tournaments.
Yeah.
And his joke all the time was, it doesn't matter who's in that other dugout. They put their pants on just like you do, one leg at a time. So he was never scared to get in the arena and fight and compete. And we were a small town, but it didn't matter. And I learned a lot. I learned a ton from him. And that year, my sophomore year, I knew I was going to be a coach. I looked up to Coach Collins, and baseball has always been my lifeblood. It's been my cathedral. It's been my oxygen. And I've always said, I'm going to coach until the day I die. So it's the only thing I ever think about. So I'm all in. It's my plan A. I don't have a plan B. And my goal is to impact people because I feel like the game has given me so many things, and I feel like I owe the game so much. And I've never made any decision based on money. It's all been on learning, growing, and then I added networking in the future. How that came to be is, I started coaching at East Central University in Ada, Oklahoma. At that time, East Central didn't have a full-time paid assistant, so I was 23 years old. I just finished playing, and I was able to jump onto the coaching staff, get my master's degree, and I got my master's in 2 years. I made like $5,000 a year, but I was all the responsibility, so learn, grow, and network. So I was the third base coach, the infield coach, the recruiting coordinator at 23, screwing it all up, had no idea what I was doing. I thought I knew a lot, had zero idea.
No one ever does.
But went down the rabbit hole of figuring out how to try to figure out to be the best you possibly can be.
Yeah.
So finishing my second year at East Central, they didn't have an assistant. I graduated from my master's degree, and I had to make a life choice, boys. It was, how was I going to continue moving up in the coaching world?
Yeah.
And how could I become a Division I coach?
Yeah.
That was my goal.
Everybody wants to get that dream.
Right? You're young, and that was a big level, and you're like, I'm going to chase that. And so I sat down and I journaled for a couple of weeks, and I said, my goal is to become the best coach I possibly can be. And I just kept questioning, how do I do that? Who do I surround myself by? What do I got to learn? What books do I got to, who's my networking so I can do that? And so I decided the best place to learn, grow, and network in the entire country is Phoenix, Arizona. And so I narrowed that down. And the reason why I narrowed that down to Phoenix was you have one of the best junior college conferences in the country, 14 teams in that conference. In the Phoenix area, there's 8 junior colleges. Okay. They're all 45 minutes apart from each other.
Like spring.
There's only 2 Division I schools in that state alone. There's only 2 Division I schools. So everybody's going to come recruit that area. And so I'm going to get a network of everybody recruiting that Phoenix area.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's 15 MLB teams in Phoenix within a 45-minute radius.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to be able to literally be 30 to 45 minutes away from every one of these major leagues teams, which what I did every year during spring training is I would just go hang out with teams. I would show up and go to the backfields and connect with people.
Yeah.
And so that was my learn, grow, and network. So I packed up everything I owned, put it out all in my car, drove 17 hours to Phoenix. I interviewed for 2 days, slept in my car.
Slept in your car?
And I slept in my car, and I had no money, man. I was trying to figure it out. My family doesn't have money. Like I was on financial aid going through college. I was sending money back home. I was paying for my own rent. I was eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like
college life.
Like I'm not scared. I'm not scared to grind. I'm not scared to live in my car. I'm not scared to go through the mess to chase a dream. And so I was betting on myself. And basically how it happened, I drove out to Phoenix. I interviewed for 3 schools, and I'm literally sitting at South Mountain Community College in the office that I interviewed in 2011.
Yeah.
So I walk into South Mountain and I interview with Todd Easton, the head coach here at South Mountain, and I get back in my car. I drive 17 hours home. He calls me, says, Gillum, I got an opportunity for you. I hope you're interested. I think you fit. And we've got an infield job open and a hitting job open, but it pays $0. We have no money. It's a volunteer job.
Yeah.
And if you want it, you can take it. And so I said, awesome, I want it. I'll figure out how to make money. I've done field maintenance. I've got my master's degree. I can teach. I'll figure out how to make money. So I had a master's degree. I took a volunteer job. I moved 17 hours away from home to bet on myself.
Yeah.
To chase this D1 coaching dream. And try to shorten the story up a little bit, boys.
No, this is all great. Yeah,
keep going because I'm going to ask some questions after.
I moved to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Packed all my stuff up. I moved 17 hours away from home. I had no money.
Where was home?
Ada, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Small town, Ada, Oklahoma. And so I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. No money. I'm literally pinching pennies together. I was making less money than I was able to survive on, but like I was always able to make it month to month. I was always able to somehow pay rent, enough to eat, and chase this dream. In my first year, I worked on field maintenance. It was 4:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. I would shower at the school, and then we would practice from 2 to 6.
Yeah.
And if there was like a game I had to go watch or recruit, I would leave practice and go recruit. And I would do it all. I'd do it all over again.
Yeah.
That's always been, and I was happy as hell. I was making $9 an hour. I was happy as hell.
Yeah. Creating your own luck.
$9 an hour.
Create your own luck.
So that's right. Create your own luck. And I was chasing this dream, and I wasn't scared to work for it. And I was going to the field every day. So I was happy as hell. And I kept making connections. I kept learning. It was my 3 things have always been learn, grow, network, learn, grow, network, learn, grow, network. So that first year, Brock, I said, all right, how do I connect with more coaches? How do I coach more games than anybody else? And how do I coach more players, see the country and travel, learn, grow, network? And I said, I got to coach summer baseball. Head coaching job in the Myrtle Beach Collegiate League.
Nice.
All right. It was first year for the league. It didn't exist. And it was, as you can imagine, they didn't know what they were doing. And it was figure it out, go through the mess. And honestly, it was awesome. And there was so many good dudes that were there coaching that summer. It's kind of wild, to be honest with you, how many guys, like, there's D1 head coaches that was coaching in this league. This league doesn't exist, by the way. It lasted 3 years, but I was there for the first 2 years of it. But it was awesome learning experience because I got to see somebody try to create something that they had no idea what they were doing and go through that mess. And instead of like cussing or going at that person that didn't have it figured out, right? Instead of complaining, I said, hey man, I raised my hand and said, hey, I want to help figure this thing out. Can I help recruit?
Yeah.
Can I help find players housing? Can I help grow this league? Can I help put rules in? How can I help? So I was never scared, where a lot of dudes, honestly, there was parents flying in to fight the guy that owned this league because it was unorganized.
What?
There was coaches that were, trying to take this guy to jail because people didn't get paid.
Wow.
Instead of complaining, I was just like, hey, dude, I want to help figure this thing out. So I got responsibility to help try to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
I was there for 2 years, learned, and then I said, I want a different journey. Okay. On that next journey, I went to the Texas Collegiate League. I coached there for 3 summers. We won 3 TCL championships. I coached with 2 of my best friends, Kurt Dixon, Clay Cox. We were 131-30 in 3 summers. We had over 30 guys drafted, and we broke every single record in that league. It was the most fun. We had some of the best players. Yeah. It was wild, right? We were in College Station, Texas, where Texas A&M is. Such a good experience. From that experience, Kurt got a D1 job. He was our head coach. He's a pitching guy. Kurt Dixon got a D1 job.
Yeah.
Clay Cox got the assistant job at Paris Junior College in Texas. And I was sitting there figuring out, hey, what's my next journey? What am I going to do? And Robbie, going back to your story of like, get out of your comfort zone. And I was watching some videos, and one of those videos said, if your goals don't scare the hell out of you, then they're not big enough.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching this healthful living class at South Mountain. I'm literally doing quotes of the day, telling stories of people being the 1% in whatever they're doing. We're sharing motivational stories in this healthful living class that I'm teaching, and I'm trying to navigate where my next journey is. Okay. So in 2016, it was such a huge leap for me, because I dove in, I read more books, I listened to more podcasts, I surrounded myself with more high-level people, I learned more than I ever did. I got a full-time exercise science job at South Mountain. So I was running our exercise science department, being full-time faculty, which that's another story. I went into 2017 trying to figure out what my next challenge was. And I thought I was going to do 2 things. I was either going to get in a camper van and go give infield camps around the country and donate all the money to cancer.
Yeah.
Or I was going to try to go to the Cape and coach in the Cape Cod, because I thought that was the best next move to learn, grow, and network.
Yeah.
And what happened was I randomly started getting phone calls. I think you should put your stories out there and your dreams out there into the universe, and I think things start coming to you. I think it's law of attraction. I believe in law of attraction. And I started telling people what I was potentially going to do, and I started having people call me about going to coach in the Cape. And I got connected with Coach Pickler, who coaches the Whitey Red Sox. He was famous at coaching Cypress at Cypress Community College in California for 40 years. He's also the winningest coach in Cape Cod history. So now I've been coached by the winningest high school baseball coach. I went to Seminole State Junior College, and I got to play for Zero Simmons for a year, who is the winningest junior college coach. And then I got to go to the Cape Cod and coach for the winningest Cape Cod coach, right? So I think literally one of my superpowers is surrounding myself with winners and learning from those people and just trying to bring value to whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So I go to the Cape, okay? I take the job in the Cape. This is the fall of September of 2017, okay? No, excuse me. September of 2016. Okay, I get the call from Pick. Pick says, you want to come coach? And I said, yes. I didn't even ask how much money it was. It ended up being $1,000. It cost me $7,000 to go coach in the Cape that summer.
That's laws money on that.
Bet on myself.
Yeah.
I would go do it all over again, because learn, grow, and network.
Yeah.
I got to coach Nico Horner, second baseman for the Cubs. Dude's legit.
Yeah.
I got to coach like 8 guys that are in the big leagues. I got to meet some of my best friends I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Nate Fish, Austin Knight, dudes that, Roberto Mercado, who's AA manager for the Orioles. I got to coach with all these guys, but I bet on myself and I paid up front. Right?
Yeah.
I was bet up
yourself.
front. So with that story, okay, I go to the Cape. That's the fall of 2016. I decide I'm going to go coaching. To start the 2017 year, I made the scariest, biggest challenge, biggest goal I've ever made in my life. And this goes back to the bet on yourself. And I made my life goal to have a positive impact on 1 million people through baseball education and exercise. My office was right over here, two offices down. I wrote it on my whiteboard. I put a little triangle around it, a little square around it, and it said 2017, make a positive impact on 1 million people. And I just went on this journey and I put it out there in the world and I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out how to have a positive impact on 1 million people. Robbie, that took me to going to the Cape that summer. I coached in the Cape. One of my good buddies, Sean West, was the head coach of the Bananas, and he called me in the fall of 2000. And he was like, Gillum, I've been here with the Bananas for 2 years. I love it. This place is amazing. They're doing things that nobody else is doing. They're entertaining fans, but we're also winning on the field, and I think it's really cool. I can't go back, and they want me to find the next head coach, and I think it's you, because they're looking outside of the box.
Yeah.
They're looking to find the best players in the country, and they're looking for somebody that can speak in front of 5,000 people. What do you think? And that was my introduction to the Bananas, and there's so many weeds of this story of getting there and where Bet on Yourself comes from. And it all dates back on just betting on myself for a long time, of having this plan A. I'm going to chase these dreams.
Yeah.
Going to Seminole State, moving to Phoenix, going to the Cape, betting on myself, going to the Bananas, doing things that nobody else was doing, getting outside of my comfort zone, and then chase this dream of impacting 1 million people. And Robbie, the craziest damn thing is in 2024, we played our last game in Miami, in the Miami Marlins Stadium.
Yeah.
And we surpassed 1 million fans on tour in 2024.
How many fans were at that game?
There was 30,000 fans at that game. So that was one of the only games that the Marlins sold out.
I know. Yeah. I went to the game this last year, and I walked in. I was like, where's everybody at? I'm glad you guys could sell it out, because when I showed up, there was 1,000 people there, and I was like, what's happening to baseball? But, hey, I got to ask you a question. You're married, right?
Yep.
You got a kid, right?
Yep.
When the hell did you meet your wife? I mean, was it like last year? Because if you went through all this, living out of your car, right? I mean, doing all this stuff. When did your wife say, I love this guy?
Here's the story. My wife is the absolute queen.
Yeah.
Our story is this. 2015, I was single for like 5 years.
Yeah.
I was on Bumble.
Oh.
And
yeah.
Swiped right, because if you guys remember Bumble,
I had a girlfriend. So my wife.
Yeah.
Now,
so on Bumble,
I wasn't on Bumble.
the girl has to swipe you right before you can contact her. So she right. Come on.
Robbie's never been on. Yeah. He's
I was like, this is all before.
They flocked to Robbie, man. They flocked to Robbie. Robbie didn't have no apps. He walked the street and they were just.
It was a lot easier. Yeah. No.
Confident.
Yeah. Keep going.
So basically, we met on Bumble. How we met was me and my really good friend Jimmy Turk used to go to Taco Tuesdays at a place called Bogey's in Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah.
And we used to baseball there on Tuesdays and get like $2 tacos or whatever it was. So I said, hey, the playoffs were on. And I said, hey, if you want to meet us at Bogey's, we're going to go watch the MLB playoffs and eat tacos if you want to come. And so she met us there and hung out with us. So I'm like, dude, she's going to come watch baseball and eat tacos with us. Like, this girl's got to be legit.
Yeah.
Right?
She drink a beer with it.
Yeah. She was all she's her dad, the biggest Yankees fan ever,
right.
so her brother played college baseball. So she was all in on the baseball side of things. And honestly, we dated for about 6 months, and she honestly gave me an ultimatum, Brock. She said, hey, are we going to officially do this or not? Like,
wow.
Either we're all in or we're not. So where are we going? And I hadn't dated anybody for 5 years, and that was on purpose. I was very focused on coaching career. I worked 100 hours a week. I literally would go to school all day, go to the field all day, work all day. And I literally was just Zoom focused, laser focused on this coaching journey. And she gave me an ultimatum, and I thought about it for a little bit. And I'm like, man, I really like this chick. Like, she's different. And so I took her to dinner, Chandler, Arizona.
Yeah.
And I sat down with her, and I was very assertive. And I think this is some of the biggest relationship advice I give to all my players, all my friends that are coaches, players. And we sat down and I said, before we get into this, I just want to be straightforward with you. I do this coaching thing and I work a ton of hours. Like, this is my oxygen. Baseball has literally kept me out of prison. It's kept me out of jail. It's kept me from drugs.
Yeah.
Baseball and impacting kids, developing and dogpiling, like, those are my things. And baseball, going to the baseball field is my oxygen. It is my love, and it's who I am. And no matter what, I'm never going to stop doing this, because I know it brings me the most amount of energy, and I'm the best version of myself by doing this. And I understand that being a coach's wife is so hard. And I understand if you can't do it, and I understand if you can't be all in on it. I completely get that. But I want to be up front, and I want to be like, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm putting it all on the table. And if you're okay with that, let's take this journey and see what we can do. And she was like, that doesn't bother me a bit. It honestly, I love that you have big visions, you have big goals, and you're a hard worker. And I said, what is your one thing? And she said, I just want a kid in the future. And I said, okay. I was like, I'm all.
Yeah, you can make that
So,
happen. I can do that.
Literally, that was our one meeting, one dinner date, putting it all on the table.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people get into relationships with kind of putting it on the table.
No.
And I don't think until I was 28, 9 years old, I was mature enough to understand that. Where I think a lot of young men, they get into relationships and they try to adjust everything to make their wife or their girlfriend happy. And then it makes them unhappy. I've seen that so many times, and they're not the best version of themselves.
Bryce is taking notes. Bryce is taking notes.
Well, it's like, Tyler, there's so much here, right? Like, and I equate it to something I look at, which is called life hacks. I feel like you've unlocked, in everything you said, you've unlocked a lot of these hacks to life. One is which, you have to, like, you have one life to live, right? And the way I've always looked at it is the person you are going to choose to spend the rest of your life with, it should be somebody that accepts you for who you are, but also sees the potential in who you are, right? And, in the case of my wife, like, we're great teammates together, right? We talk, we're on the same page. You have to have hard conversations sometimes, and it's not always the most pleasant, but in the reality, it's like, if you two aren't in sync, you're not able to move forward with both of your dreams and where you're trying to take your family, so you have that, you found the partner. You talk about betting on yourself, right? Like, you took risk. Like, you can't get to where you want to go without injecting risk into your life, right? And you can't reap those rewards if you play it safe. Like, you can, absolutely. That's a life you can live. But if you want to go the places and do the things that you are dreaming of, you're going to have to take some risk. And living in your car and getting paid no money, those are things, right? That's hard. You also talked about who you surround yourself with, right? This is probably the one that I think a lot of kids and a lot of young athletes really need to think long and hard about. And this one's really difficult, which is, I've always said, it's like, think about the 5 people in your life who you talk to the most, meaning on the phone, text. So, Bryce, Brock's probably one of them, he's in there, and then whoever else is in that circle. And if those folks in that circle aren't helping you, right, achieve what you want, right? If you have folks who are negative or they're not growth, if you have a growth mindset and they don't, like, that's going to bleed into your daily life. And sometimes, even though they might be a best friend, they might be a family member, I'm not saying you cut them out. You just have to limit your interactions, because it's going to stop you from achieving what you're setting out to do. And at the end of the day, no one else is thinking about you and your journey as much as you are. So those are, while it might seem selfish, like, those are things that if you do, I call it like you're hacking life, right? You're finding these things that aren't easy. They're not easy to do, but if you can do them, and, it's Tyler to hear just also the growth, right? The constant, like, all right, what do I learn from this? And, going to the Myrtle Beach tournament, I feel like you're now getting this was your first taste of true banana ball, which was, even though it wasn't banana ball,
it was crazy.
It was like, it is just like no holds barred. Coaches, no one's getting paid. How do we get this league? And you're figuring it out on the fly. So you're already building in those skills that then are going to later, right? Right. I mean, like, it's so cool. But I feel like if folks are listening and, take anything away, what you're doing are hard, but those things allow you to achieve what it is that you've set out in front of you. And a lot
of people look at short term. They don't look at the long term. Like, you have a long term vision. You know exactly where you're going to be, but a lot of people think about tomorrow, right? So you're creating your own luck, and like everyone else in this call has created their own luck somehow to talk amongst ourselves. Now, before we continue, I got to ask, like, it's going to be released after Christmas. So what'd you get your wife for Christmas? Did everybody get their wife something for Christmas?
Of course.
What'd you get, Robbie? What'd you get her? Quietly, because she's right in another room.
No, I don't know. I heard them, the kids are home this winter break. The Dyson hair thing, yeah. So Costco had a good deal. Went there, got that hooked up. Like she sent me like the secondhand version.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, you can just get me this, and I was like, Costco's got a deal. So yeah.
Amongst
other things.
What'd you get?
So we've kind of moved towards experiences.
Okay.
And so 2 days ago, we went on basically a trip ourselves. Kid had a babysitter.
All right.
Grandpa watched our kid. So it was 24 hours free without a kid. So what 100%. We did is first we went to breakfast.
All right.
We love breakfast. We love coffee. We went to a spa day.
Afterwards. Nice.
Unbelievable. They had me wrapped up like a mummy. It was phenomenal. And then we got outside of the comfort zone a little bit, and we said, hey, let's go to a dinner date tonight, but we are going to dress each other. So we went to Ross, picked out each other's outfits.
Nice.
And we surprised each other in the hotel room with what we were going to wear.
Yeah.
It was the most fun.
It was awesome.
It was crazy.
That's awesome.
I might try that.
You guys got to. You guys will have the most fun. And so we put it all on Instagram. All of it was on Instagram. We had people telling us like, hey, what's your ideas for dates?
Yeah.
And we were doing some of the things that people were telling us to do. This is the wildest thing, though, Brock. We stayed at a casino, Talking Stick Casino.
Yeah.
And it's a great casino. Yeah. Rooms are awesome. We go up, we change, we get into our outfits that we bought ourselves, which she bought a really cool one for me. I went a little bit funny. She kind of looked like a grandma. She was like, I can't believe you're making me wear this. We go to dinner. After dinner, we go downstairs. We're going to go to the casino. Both of us end up hitting on slot machines and the blackjack table.
Wow.
We ended up away with over $2,500 at the
casino. Buddy.
Huge.
So 24 hours
I need that.
experience.
Yeah.
That was our Christmas gift to each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's all.
Yes.
You know what I got my wife?
What'd you get, Brock?
No, you didn't.
The FedEx driver dropped it off the other day, and I wasn't here. I was at the office, and Bryce was with me at the time, and he's like, hey, I need to drop this off. I'm like, I'm not there. So he dropped off the neighbor's house. It takes up his entire garage, just like the Norder track. And it's not, my wife's not out of shape. She just asked for it. She asked for a treadmill, and I was like, all right, I'll get it. Well, he said, man, this dude's in deep shit. If
100%. I mean, that's what I had when I was
for this.
Yeah,
and I was like,
good.
nah.
I'm glad.
Yeah, she asked.
I'm glad Abby asked. I'm glad she asked.
That's why I was like, damn, sitting over here. He's like, freaking Robbie's doing the hair, and then I got the treadmill. I'm gonna use that treadmill though, because I need to lose some weight. God, I need to work out.
Hey,
yeah, one day.
All right,
work 2 hours.
Let's just go back to what you were talking about earlier, Robbie. You were talking about life hacks, and like I'm curious to know some of y'all's life hacks. And the one that you hit on, Robbie, was surround yourself. Like the 5 people you surround yourself the most with are going to influence you. What you wear, what you drink, what you eat, what you wear, all of those things. And first time I ever heard that, Robbie, is I went Seminole State Junior College, and one of my best friends, his dad, gave us both of us that advice on a phone call one night. He said, whoever the 5 hardest working guys on the team, you go just hang out and do what they do. And so that fall, I ended up gaining 20 pounds of muscle. That was the strongest I've ever been. And those guys just lived in the weight room. We lived in the cages. We literally slept in the locker room sometimes. But those guys loved being up there at the field. And that was a life hack for me. I started doing that more as I went through life and understanding how everybody influences you, whether you know it or not. Your roommates, what they wear, what they watch, how they eat, who they hang out with, what they listen to. And so I started surrounding myself with people that were higher level people that were thinking, setting big goals, and what were they doing? And a lot of them, they were reading a ton, listening to podcasts. So going back to 2016, I started listening to podcasts. And one of the first podcasts I ever listened to was, I was driving back from College Station, Texas, back to Phoenix, 15-hour drive. I was listening to Red Dirt Country, which I love. And I decided like, hey, I'm going to see what this purple button on my phone is. And it's the podcast button.
Yeah.
First podcast I started listening to was Entree Leadership. And that's Dave Ramsey's podcast.
Oh, yeah. I read his book.
And Dude, I just went through, like, I was just ripping out these podcasts, and there was a business leader on there that said, once I quit focusing on money and I started focusing on impacting people, that's when I became and had the most success. So he said, so I never forgot that. That was one of the best nuggets I got on a podcast early in 2016. Helped me lead to my 1 million goal. And, it was, how do you surround yourself with those people? Where my grandparents were building church camps in Africa, and Coach Collins being an awesome avenue, right? And so I started gravitating to Coach Collins and some of these other people that were doing awesome things, and it led me to Seminole. And I'll finish up with this on this, Robbie. When I went to Seminole, I walked on to Seminole. I had 5 or 6 scholarships to other junior colleges, and everybody was telling me to go to those schools. And this advice is given a lot to multiple young players: is go where the money is. And here we are in this NIL world, right? Which dudes are getting all kinds of crazy money, and everybody says, go where the most money is, go where the most money is. And I remember sitting in the Latta High School parking lot, and I rolled down my window. My hero's there, Coach Collins, and he says, hey, I know you've been talking to a lot of schools. I think you should go to here, and here. I don't think you should go to Seminole. So the guy I look up to the most is telling me not to go to Seminole. And I told Coach Collins, I said, I don't care about any of those other offers. I'm going to Seminole because they always win. And I know I'm going to be a better player and a better person when I walk out of there. It doesn't matter how much I play. I know for a fact, because I've been in the environment, I would go up there and train with them my junior and senior year. I would literally do burnouts. Burnouts is an hour workout where you just do the most amount of reps until you basically die. Right? I did that my junior and senior year. It's Navy SEAL stuff. But I love that crap. And I knew nobody else was doing that, and I was willing to do what everybody else wasn't willing to do. Yeah. And so I told Coach Collins in that meeting, I was like, I'm not going to go to those. I'm going to go to Seminole because I know I'm going to be better. I go to Seminole. They have 12 draft and follows that year. I'm not one of them.
Wow.
I'm not one of them. And that first fall, you coached college baseball before you played at pro ball. We had 43 guys that first fall. We had 16 guys quit. So at the end of the fall, we had 27 guys. Nobody got cut. They all quit. That's how hard it was.
Yeah. Wow.
And I survived that. And so what that taught me in life was, if you hang out with dudes that are harder than everybody else and you learn to break down walls, like, you can literally accomplish whatever you want if you're willing to go through the mess. And now you fast forward all of that stuff to Bananas and how we've played during COVID.
Yeah.
Went from CPL to Banana Ball. Basically did all these things where all the critics said, that's not going to work. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And we fought through all of that and created things that nobody else was doing. But it was all about surround yourself with the average, surround yourself with people that are trying to do great things.
And it's hard. And that's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of discipline, and kudos to you. And I think, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. I think you're on the right trajectory, right?
Motivating, inspiring,
100%.
creating your own luck.
Absolutely.
You can't get to where you're at by charging people money to get there. You have to do things that you wouldn't expect to get in return, and you don't want anything in return, but you know that at some point everything's going to click. Everything's going to
That's right. I like
come
it.
together. And that's the same thing we do with playing sports. We're trying to help everyone succeed. One mission, that's help find camps. Even though we do a lot more work than the other company does when it comes to sharing advice, and strategically helping them grow their camp business and their money, and also sharing ideas, like we were talking about Opus earlier, right? It's like why I wouldn't have to. Sometimes we would charge for something like that, or someone would charge for that, right? For a consulting call. But at the end of the day, if you're not helping others, then what's the point of you doing what you do?
Yeah, you go back to that Entree Leadership podcast, and there was a quote on there that said, help everybody else get what they want, and eventually you'll get what you want. So if you just live in this giving mentality, which I grew up in the church, my grandpa was a pastor, and my grandma built this church camp in Kenya, Africa, and I watched them give 10% of their earnings every single year. I literally watched them pay people's rents. And so that environment helped in a lot of ways of figuring out, if you just keep giving and you can bring value to people, all of that stuff can circle back around. But man, it's all about diving in and thinking of others and putting people in front. And that's kind of what our fans' first approach
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
with the bananas.
But it's also, I do a lot of giving. My dad used to give like $100. I mean, we're not rich by any means. Like insurance adjuster, my mom was a teacher. Go to the gas stations on Christmas Day and give $100 bills to the people that worked. Right. And I grew up around that. So similar story to you, right? Like giving, and you saw someone give as you were a kid, and then you want to kind of do the same thing because you saw the smiles on their faces. But at the end of the day, whoever you are, whatever your mission is when it comes to life, I'm doing everything now because of my kid, right? Like I know my kid will be able to start a business because I started a business and I took a leap and I bet on myself. Same thing, right? And because it's not going to just end with me, it's generations to come. So I try and look at it a different way, like my daughter and my son, like how can I do something that's going to benefit them later on in life, not just myself. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Fun world we live in.
No doubt.
But
tell me, Robbie, tell me a life lesson of you creating your business that you took out of. Give me one of your best life lessons of creating that business and growing it.
Oh, that's a good question. So the camp company I work for, I didn't own it, but I was
he was
pretty
second
much
in line
the
as
second.
CEO.
I was, yeah. So I was like the right hand. And I just had my daughter. We were living in Austin, Texas. It was my wife and I. Her family lived in Houston. So, we were thinking about buying a house in Austin. This is 2014. And I was working for the company. I was in a position, but I worked closely with the CEO on some side projects. And, he saw potential in me and wanted to figure out a way to get me to move to California. Now, if you know anything about Silicon Valley, it's one of the most expensive places to live. And the cost of living is insane. So, okay. So he approaches me with this opportunity. And my boss at the time was like, you don't have to move. You can stay, and you can fly back and forth. And I talked with my wife and I was like, I don't know, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, if you're not on board, like, I can't, like, that's not cool. Like, there's no world in which I want to build resentment and, have any of that. And she's like, heck no, because she knew, she was like, listen, I know what you're capable of doing. If you go and work out of that office and sit side by side with the CEO, you're going to get exposure to so many other things that money can't pay for. And so we made the move, right? And that story is insane of like how I found a freaking place for us to live. Like, if like Silicon Valley, if they put up a renting sign, it's gone in a day. Like, it's nuts. And it's like a bidding war. It's wild. It's a weird, it's a bubble of a place. But long story short, we lived there for 4 years. My daughter was 3 months when we moved there. We had our second 2 years later. My mother lives in Massachusetts. Her family's in Texas. So we had no help. So, and she worked. So we were paying like nanny, basically a babysitter who was like 20 years old to watch our kid, going in debt. But at the end of the day, we knew why we were doing it. We did it for the experience. And it was, I went on 2-hour walks daily with the CEO, and I got to listen to what problems he's thinking about, where he's thinking about the company. I learned to think about 6 months, 12 months, 18 months out, take a long-term approach, look at the business from the whole. I got to sit in marketing meetings, technology meetings. I got to sit on board calls, bank calls. I got to, problem solve, human resource issues going on. And my input was valued. And from all of that, I gained a broader perspective. I was in the operations. My job was build out, where are we going to put a camp? How are we going to execute it? How are we going to hire the staff? How are we going to deliver the experiences? And how do we make sure we have a high NPS score so that way people return? That was my department. We had 35 people. We had 1,600 summer staff under me. But on top of that, I was in every other meeting. And that experience gave me the confidence to know, like, all right, yeah, you're cut out to be a CEO, So when I left there, I went to join a startup for a CPG company. I was there for 6 months. It wasn't the right fit for me because I knew at that time I didn't have any equity in that company. And, I was like, I'm not ready to build, people are paying me lots of money to build processes, teams. So why wouldn't I take that bet on myself? And I didn't have a thing at the time. And one of the things I was doing was coaching my son's baseball team. It's just a rec team. He's 6. And one of the coaches asked the question, like, how do we learn how to slide? So being the curious guy I am, I was like, let me look it up. And, I went down the rabbit hole, found people use cardboard, found how to teach feet first sliding, brought it to practice. Or I went to Costco, got me some pallet dividers, duct taped it up, brought it to practice. And this is the moment that triggered everything of the journey I'm on now, which is not only did I teach the kids in 10 minutes, they started doing it, and the smiles on their faces was just,
Yeah.
it was the happiest thing they've ever done. And the coolest part was they didn't want to stop. Now, if you've coached 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, they're in dirt, their attention spans are like, they're done with practice. They're like, they don't want to sit and take grounders, they want to go play and whatnot. But this one thing, sliding. So, I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I went and tested about 30 different materials, and I came up with 4 to 5 steps of how to teach feet first sliding, and realized that, upon my review, that a lot of people don't know how to do it. Coaches, A, don't have a tool that they can transport to and from. And 2, kids just don't know how. And it leads to injuries. And it's funny because I read up on you, and you were a base running coach also at South Mountains. One of the things that I'm not a base stealer like you and Bryce. I wasn't. I could hit, but I wasn't the best runner. I've come to learn that if you're not confident with your slides, there's no way you're going to be a great base runner, because you're always going to be hesitating when you run, right? You're going to be going at 70%. So when you round first base and it's going to be a bang, bang play at second, that player who doesn't know how to slide, they're going to be like, I'm going to step back here at first base and not go for it. But once those kids know how to slide and do it correctly, man, do they go off to the races. And the coolest part that's happened with all this is that once you teach these kids the 4 steps, the 5th step is just practicing. So there's 4 steps of the figure 4. They pop up because they have such balance. They're in a balanced state. They're on their butts. Their ability to pop up is just so natural. So now not only do I have this tool that kids are learning, but you're watching 6, 7, 8-year-olds pop up, whereas you have kids in high school, college, probably even the majors, who don't know how to pop up slide or even slide correctly. So, where I go with this is that I got that confidence from that move I made when I could have stayed in Austin and did the job remotely, but I took the chance and was like, no, I'm going to go work beside somebody who's building this company that later sold for $200 million. And being a critical person in helping us achieve that, I learned so much. And to be able to take those learnings and apply it to something of building your own, I feel blessed. And, I have a long path ahead. You never know if it's going to work out, but I feel real confident. I know what I'm delusional about, of what I think is going to happen, and where this company can go and so forth. So I guess that's my bet on myself story.
Yeah. Robbie's a good guy too. Has helped us a lot.
I love that. Many congrats on that.
Yeah.
I love
man.
picking up and moving to Silicon Valley. And Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about, if you're young, you need to test a bunch of things, and you need to figure out how to get in rooms with people that are a lot smarter than you. And so I've always tried to get in rooms that I'm the dumbest person in the room. And if I can sit there and listen and observe, I'm going to be able to get a couple nuggets. But a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice early in order to do that, to learn and then be able to build. Example that I like to use all the time is I run into a lot of college or coaches. That looks like a ninja right there. That looks like Michelangelo or Donnie.
Hank wanted to say hey real fast before he heads out. He was standing right here forever. So you know who he is? He's Savannah Bananas coach. Dave, do you like the Savannah Bananas? What do you like the most about him? 5 years old and remembers something from last year. Like,
I love
that's the experience.
Yeah,
the first experience right there. He'll never forget anything. So
hey, we gotta get you on the field to do home run hitter.
Oh, home run Hank.
You do home run hitter?
His middle name is Hoss.
Last time I hit it.
Yeah, buddy.
About, baby. We need you.
Let's go.
We're going to get you signed up.
See, all right. Sorry for interrupting you.
I love it.
What
were we talking about?
I don't remember.
Just life. Just life, yo.
Yeah, I got you.
Life.
Yeah. So, all right, let's wrap it up. I don't want to keep it right too much longer. I appreciate you hopping on, Tyler. Appreciate it, man.